Hi everybody, it is week 3 of the End Time Prophecy Updates, and so this week I'm going to be talking about the Middle Eastern uprisings and how it correlates with the prophecies in the Bible. So there's a lot going on right now in the Middle East, and I'm sure you're probably all aware of some aspect of what's going on. And for us to really go into everything, it's going to take a couple weeks to do so just because of all of the information. However, this week we're going to start at the beginning. We're going to start where kind of all the uprisings, took place and the beginning of everything. So I'm going to go ahead and scoot you in here and we're going to get started. This week we're going to be discussing the prophecies in Isaiah. The Isaiah 19 prophecies go over Egypt, and the Isaiah 17 prophecies go over Damascus. So let's go ahead and start with Isaiah 19, 2 through 4. This is just part of the Isaiah 19 prophecies, but we're going to focus in on this for right now. I will stir up Egyptian against Egyptian, brother will fight against brother, neighbor against neighbor, city against city, kingdom against kingdom. The Egyptians will lose heart, and I will bring their plans to nothing. They will consult the idols and the spirits of the dead, the mediums and the spiritists. I will hand the Egyptian over to the power of a cruel master, and a fierce king will rule over them, declares the Lord Almighty. Isaiah 17, 1 through 3 says, This message came to me concerning Damascus. Look, Damascus will disappear. It will become a heap of ruins. The cities of Aurora, and I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, I apologize, but the city will be deserted. Sheep will graze in the streets and lie down unafraid. There will be no one to chase them away. The fortified cities of Israel will also be destroyed, and the power of Damascus will end. The few left in Aram will share the fate of Israel's departed glory, says the Lord Almighty. Okay, so a few of you, probably a lot of you actually, have heard of this term before. It's something that we've heard more and more in the news lately in the past couple years, but the Arab Spring is a term that refers to the revolutionary wave of protests that have spread through many North African and Middle Eastern countries. Other terms include the Arab Awakening, the Arab Uprisings, and the Arab Rebellion. So let's talk about where it all began. A few years ago, in December 2010, there was a Tunisian street vendor who made his livelihood, supported his family by selling items through a street cart. Well, an official took away his street car, his vegetable cart, and humiliated him in public because he did not have a permit to be selling. This caused him to end up wanting to protest, and so he actually set himself on fire and committed suicide in an act of protest against the government. So once he did this, there, became a huge uprising, and people felt like it was time to take over the government. And they did. They were successful. They overthrew their government. So within 2 weeks of that uprising, Egypt decided to do the same thing. They were tired of their ruler that they had been dealing with for the past 30 years, and they took the movement and took it to Egypt and had an uprising themselves. So you can see here, January 2011, Egyptians rise up, and I'm going to show you this video. It kind of gives you an idea of what the uprisings were if you are not aware of what happened in 2011. Their ruler at this point was Mubarak. Like I said, he was in rule for 30 years, and while he was an ally for the United States, he was horrible to his own people. So you'll see here, when I get to it, okay, you'll see here what really happened.
It's complicated. Does not even begin
with the uprising.
To describe America's relationship with Egypt. In exchange for more than $1 billion of your tax dollars a year, the land of the pharaohs has been a partner in fighting terrorism and defending Israel. But Egypt is also run by a man many resent as a modern-day pharaoh, clinging to power through police brutality and rigged elections, while his average subject scratches by on $6 a day. Resentment over this arrangement has been simmering for years. It boiled over this week and exploded tonight, setting the White House and the world on edge. For the very latest, here's Alex Marquardt in Cairo.
Bill, despite the curfew, despite the armored military vehicles on the streets, protests continue tonight. Tanks have surrounded the U.S. Embassy to protect it. From our perch, we've heard explosions, cheers, battles. It's been an incredible 24 hours with the government of President Hosni Mubarak on the ropes, trying to figure out what to do in the face of such incredible anger. The scenes are unprecedented. The most violent day in 4 days of violent clashes in the heart of the Arab world, reaching a fever pitch unthinkable a week ago. Volleys of rubber bullets and tear gas fired at protesters. Buildings and cars set on fire. A people furious and rising up to demand an end to decades of rule by a man the United States considers perhaps its most important ally in the Middle East, but widely reviled here in Egypt as a repressive and corrupt dictator who has long tortured and imprisoned his own people. There have been days of violent clashes as the President of the United States carefully avoided taking sides, fanning resentment against America.
About Obama? He's talking too much and they don't make anything.
The army was sent to Cairo, Alexandria, and Suez. Tonight, a nationwide all-night curfew was imposed and immediately defied. There had been calls for massive million-man protests after Friday prayers. And so overnight, the government shut down the internet, clamping down on the social networking sites that have been essential to this uprising. As worshippers prayed, police stood at the ready. As soon as the prayers ended, the fury was unleashed. Egyptians young and old, men and women, pouring into the streets, their numbers growing exponentially.
It's a revolution in Egypt now.
Just the is enough. We hate these people. We hate all this government, and we hate it. We want a complete change for all of them.
The singular focus of their rage is President Hosni Mubarak, America's staunchest Arab ally, who has been in office so long he has seen 5 U.S. presidents. Egyptians blame his government for rampant unemployment and poverty. The world criticizes his autocratic regime. We were caught up in the crowd, running forward and back as tear gas rained down, sending the protesters scurrying down side alleys. The demonstrators wiped their eyes, cleared their throats, and went back for more. The people on the streets now convinced they're on the cusp of a revolution. Flashback 3 days when we met this young woman in the middle of the then peaceful protests.
Do you feel like this is the beginning of something?
It might be, but it could take a very long time.
Then we ran into her today.
This is real. This is real. I changed my mind. I did not believe that this was going to happen ever. I can't believe myself. This is happening, and I believe that we've already won. Even if they surprise us this time, we're still going to win.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stop there because the rest of the video just pretty much shows other uprising videos. So let's go back here. The Bible actually has a lot to say about the country of Egypt, and there's actually still a lot that needs to be fulfilled through the prophecies. However, what we're looking at is that this could be the beginning of the prophecies being fulfilled in 2011, and we'll go on and talk about some of the other things that have been fulfilled here in just a minute. But like I said, Egypt is really talked about a lot, and it's something that we need to keep in mind and keep our eyes on. Okay, so the Egyptian people were successful and they overthrew Mubarak. Like I said, he was a leader that had been in for 30 years, so this was a very exciting time for the Egyptian people. They now had the right to vote in a new leader, and they had elections shortly after, and they voted in a man named Mohamed Morsi. While this seemed like a great day in Egyptian history, it was actually not a good thing at all. Mohamed Morsi is a member of the Muslim Brotherhood, and I'm going to go over a couple facts about the Muslim Brotherhood, and like I said, these are facts. They have terrorist ties. They're enemies of Israel and the West. The West, you know, includes the United States. They want the capital for Islam to be in Jerusalem, and they want to bring Sharia law to Egypt and eventually the whole world. We'll go more into Sharia law here in just a moment if you're not familiar with that. So here is a video of Morsi coming into power.
Good evening. As you're about to see, Egypt has come a long way from that revolution we witnessed last year, and not everybody thinks what's happening there right now is a good thing. They have elected the only Islamist president in the heart of the Middle East. He's a member of the Muslim Brotherhood. Senior military commanders in no hurry to give up power there are telling Egyptians to trust the armed forces. And the fear tonight is this may start another very messy and perhaps violent time for the largest Arab nation in the world, the home to 85 million people, and the struggle for power may not be over. It is one of the dicey situations we're watching around the globe tonight. So to begin our coverage of all of it, we go to our chief foreign correspondent, Richard Engel, who's once again back in Cairo. Richard, good evening.
Good evening, Brian. This is exactly what many feared when the Arab Spring began, that democratic elections in this country would bring the Muslim Brotherhood to power. And now people and governments around the world are worried how this will play out. The Muslim Brotherhood has reason to celebrate. Their man, Mohamed Morsi, has been elected Egypt's next president, according to multiple counts. And he is expected to usher in fundamental change for this country of 90 million. Morsi wants to impose Islamic law, limit the rights of women. His party is not pro-American, as Mubarak was for decades, and he is fiercely anti-Israel. Morsi quickly declared victory, promising to reach out to all Egyptians. But Morsi faces a battle for power with the military, which will not give up without a fight. Last night, with returns still coming in, the ruling military council made a preemptive strike, eliminating the new president's powers to declare war, control the army, or replace its leaders. The reaction was this.
All the people love Mohamed Morsi.
A crowd of Morsi supporters today in Tahrir Square, where Egyptians' democracy movement began, offering thanks in prayer and opposing the military decree. This celebration has been a long time coming. For decades, the Muslim Brotherhood was banned in this country, its leaders arrested. But now, the Muslim Brotherhood appears to have won Egypt's presidency. It is a nightmare for this country's secular military, an experiment in political Islam that could now spread from here in Tahrir Square across the Middle East. A prospect that frightens a tour operator passing through the square.
For me, today, Egypt sent a bad message for all the world that we go back 100 years, 200 years.
Many other Egyptians are equally nervous.
I don't believe there is a good mix between ideas from God and a real democracy.
Brian, the Muslim Brotherhood plans a mass demonstration here tomorrow to take back the rights that the military is still closely guarding. Egypt appears to be changing course.
All right, Richard Engel.
Okay. So that gives you a little bit of information on the new President Mohamed Morsi, and lets you see that there are some people who are for it, and then there are some people who are against it. You know, just like with any election, that's normally, oh no, sorry. That's normally how it goes. But, okay, so let's go on down to the Muslim Brotherhood. So we have a lot of terrorist groups in the world. You know, ISIS is definitely the one that's in the forefront right now, and they are a very radical terrorist group. I think we all could agree with that. However, while they are something to be feared, the Muslim Brotherhood is also something to be feared. I don't want them to get put in the background and us forget about them, because they have radical ideas as well. They just go about it a little differently. And they're here in the US, and we have people even all the way at the top of our Homeland Security who full on support the Muslim Brotherhood and that are very public with their support of the Muslim Brotherhood. I think this little video here really explains very well the Muslim Brotherhood and why we should keep an eye on them.
The very same political party that has vied for power in countries such as Egypt has also been setting up front groups 5,000 miles away. For decades now, the Ikhwan, or the Muslim Brotherhood, have operated secretly behind the scenes in America. Their influence reaches from the halls of academia, to Hollywood and the media, even to law enforcement, and to the highest levels of political power.
The Muslim Brotherhood is an international movement, the goal of which
is to create an Islamic state universally, all over the world. The Muslim Brotherhood operates in various countries around the world. And as we learned in the course of our investigation and our work, the United States was one of those.
When you walked into the convention center, and they had these big banners hanging up from the over this area, and it said, "Death to Israel, death to America." One of the people who were working with me said, "You know what, Bob? These people are Muslim Brotherhood." I said, "What's that?"
Now, in my mind, the Muslim Brotherhood is the mother of all Islamic organization of the 20th century, including Al-Qaeda. The West as we see today, instead of isolating the Muslim Brotherhood, actually engaging the Muslim Brotherhood as the organization that's moderate, and these are the Muslims we can talk to. The West is tremendously naive about the danger of these various Islamic organizations.
Here, the spiritual leader of the Muslim Brotherhood tells an audience in Ohio about the group's goals to conquer the world.
فالفتح بالدعوة هذا ما نأمله إن شاء الله. سنفتح أوروبا وسنفتح أمريكا لا بالسيف ولكن بالدعوة.
Ultimately, that arrest revealed thousands of documents that absolutely blew the doors open on our understanding of the Muslim Brotherhood movement in the United States.
The FBI found a cache of documents detailing the structure of the Muslim Brotherhood in the U.S., including this one, revealing the goals of the group in America. It was titled An Explanatory Memorandum on the General Strategic Goal for the Group in North America. It's dated May 22, 1990.